Alright, this is a follow-up to my video yesterday where I compared a Takamine mid-70s Takamine lawsuit D28 copy to 1966 Martin D18. And here then I remembered, oh yeah, I got also here a 70s Gibson J50 that I'm going to play the same sort of material on, and you can see the differences there. So this is it goes with the other videos. I'll put a link in the description below. And so this is a rather unusual J50. If you notice, the bridge is not backwards the way the Gibsons were. I mean, backwards by Martin standards, the way the Gibsons were. This is actually like a Martin bridge, and this guitar really looks like my D28 as far as the outline, the appointments even. It just sort of, it's a little bit simpler than the D18, but it's very similar in look, in the appearance of the heel. It does say Gibson on the headstock. The fact that the bridge is Martin style instead of backwards from this really made me wonder. I got this guitar from Guitar Center. They were selling it as a Gibson J50, and I believe it is one. But like I say, it looks an awful lot like a Martin. So at this point in the 70s, maybe that's just how they were making the instruments. I don't know. It came with a plastic bridge saddle, which I have replaced with bone. It sounded fine with the plastic, honestly. I just thought the volume was a little bit lower than I wanted. But, the bone increased that. I still thought even with the plastic it sounded quite good. When I got the guitar, the top was caved in pretty bad around the sound hole, down about maybe an inch lower, dipping down than it is now. And that's because the braces had come loose. I guess the cross brace here and one of the other braces. And anyway, I glued that with hide glue. It totally fixed it. And so this is a nice guitar, and it'll be interesting to see the sound difference, because although this looks like a Martin, it sounds like a Gibson. It's got that trebly, higher mid-range brightness of sound. The only real difference I could see in the bracing and the construction of this compared to my Martin D18 was that the cross brace here. Let me just check right now and verify that this is true. They were in a different. They crossed at a different point. I think the Martin was. I'm gonna have to check in. I'll have to check to verify this right now to see where the difference was. Okay, so you can see the similarity in the look of these two instruments. The back, the heel. This is the D18 on the left here, on my left. On the D18, the cross braces meet about here. So maybe almost 2 inches behind the bottom of the sound hole. On the Gibson 70's J50, they meet right about here, maybe an inch behind the sound hole, maybe a little bit less than that even. So closer, the crossing of the braces in the Gibson is pushed up more, which, it seems like it would be stiffer with the Martin, honestly, by having it down here. And yet the sound is brighter on the Gibsons. I don't quite understand that as a hobbyist luthier, but that's the only real difference I see. The back braces on this guitar are thick. They're wide, like a Martin back brace, where some of another Gibson that I own, a 12-string, the 68, has real thin, pointy ones. And from what I've seen in pictures, the Gibsons tended to be the thin, pointy braces. Martins were much wider, sturdier. And really, in the brace, it's the height that really creates the stiffness. The thickness doesn't really add much support other than weight, as far as up and down support anyway. Anyway, so that's just the Gibsons tend to fly closer to the edge, apparently, on the lightness of the bracing. than Martin did over the years. All right, so let's hear what it sounds like. Well, I've been hanging out downtown, loading in that low-down reed, watching good old Charlie Friends, Lord, it's driving me insane. Up on shady Charlotte Street, all the green lights look red. Wish I was back home on the farm, loading in my feather bed. I'll find myself a rocking chair and see if I can lose these thin dime, hard time, hell on Church Street blues. All right, I hit a pretty loud one in there as a mistake. I apologize for that. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit in the video on that one note because it sounds nasty. I apologize again. I'm not going to take much longer to record this though, so I just wanted to say that this guitar, like the Takamine, has a whole lot of sustain. It just wants to keep going. It's a little clearer in its voicing, but it sustains a lot more than I would want when I'm accompanying a vocal. So I really had to work on trying to bring that down. Although it seemed to somehow be a little bit easier on this one, maybe because the tone is not as fat as the Takamine tone. I don't know. Anyway, that's just an interesting thing I noticed. I was kind of surprised by the sustain on this. All right, so see what you think, and thanks for listening. I just had a thought. This is the D18 again, and the bracing crosses further back from the sound hole. And what that means is, hey, Griff, lay down, lay down, lay down. Griff, come on, lay down, lay down. Griff, you're in the way. Come on, lay down. Good boy. Okay. Okay, just a minute. What that means with the bracing crossing closer to the bridge, the top bracing, is it makes, I'm thinking that's got to reinforce the bridge part of the top, at least. Like you can consider the bridge itself as a brace, stiffening right here. And if you stiffen in another spot real close to that, that seems especially stiff. Where with the Gibson, it's further away. Oh no, I'm talking wrong here. No, this is the Martin, the D18, and the braces cross about there, the top braces, very close to the bridge. And the Gibson crosses up here, further from the bridge. So which has the most leverage on supporting the top? I suppose the one that's more towards the center of the top, which is the Gibson. So maybe that makes it a little more rigid, which would explain the trebly sound of the Gibson. I don't know for sure, but anyway, that was really the only difference I could detect in the construction just at a visual glance of the two guitars, was where the braces crossed. The Gibson, it's up here. And the bracing of the back had the same fat braces in the Gibson as it did in the Martin. The top bracing looked about the same as far as the width of the braces and the height. So the difference in sound, you can sure hear it. The Gibson's a lot brighter. Anyway, just thought I'd add that in.